Do you ever feel overwhelmed by your emotions? Do you ever wish you could control your emotions and not let them control you? Do you ever wonder how some people can remain calm and composed even in the most difficult and stressful situations? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then this video is for you. In this video, I will share with you some Stoic secrets to control your emotions and master your emotions. Stoicism is not just a theory, but a way of life. It is not about suppressing or denying your emotions, but about understanding and managing them. It is not about being indifferent or passive, but about being wise and active. It is not about being perfect or happy, but about being excellent and fulfilled. Stoicism can help you control your emotions and master your emotions by giving you some powerful principles and practices that you can apply in your daily life. These principles and practices can help you in reduce your stress and anxiety, increase your happiness and gratitude, improve your relationships and communication, enhance your performance and productivity by being focused and disciplined, even when you are not motivated. Develop your character and confidence by being courageous and humble, even when you are afraid or proud. In this video, I will explain the main principles and practices of Stoicism and how they can help you control your emotions and master your emotion. I will also give you some examples and exercises that you can use to practice Stoicism in your own life. So, if you are ready to learn some Stoic secrets to control your emotions and want mastery over emotions, then keep watching and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Let's get started. 1. Practice negative visualization. One of the most powerful techniques that Stoics use to control their emotions is called negative visualization. This means imagining the worst-case scenarios that could happen in your life, such as losing your loved ones, your health, your wealth, or your reputation. Why would anyone do this? Isn't this just depressing and pessimistic? Not at all. The purpose of negative visualization is not to make you feel sad or fearful, but to make you appreciate what you have right now and to prepare yourself for any possible challenges in the future. By practicing negative visualization, you can reduce your attachment to external things that are not under your control and focus on your inner state of mind, which is under your control. You can also reduce your anxiety and stress by realizing that most of the things you worry about are either unlikely to happen or not as bad as you think. Negative visualization can also help you cope with loss and grief by reminding you that nothing lasts forever and that you should cherish every moment you have with the people and things you love. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "Nothing is ours except time." To practice negative visualization, you can set aside some time every day or whenever you feel overwhelmed by your emotions to imagine how your life would be without something or someone you value. Then ask yourself how you would deal with that situation and what you would learn from it. Finally, return to the present moment and express your gratitude for what you have and your resilience for what you can endure. Some examples of negative visualization are: imagine that you lose your job and that you have to find a new one or start a new career. How would you cope with the financial and emotional stress? What skills and resources would you use? What opportunities would you look for? Second, imagine that you lose your partner and that you have to live without them. How would you cope with the loneliness and sadness? What memories and lessons would you cherish? What new relationships would you build? Third, imagine that you lose your health and that you have to deal with a chronic or terminal illness. How would you cope with the pain and suffering? What treatments and support would you seek? What values and goals would you pursue? By imagining these scenarios, you can realize that you have more strength and wisdom than you think, and that you can face any adversity with courage and dignity. You can also realize that you have more reasons to be happy and grateful than you think, and that you can enjoy any blessing with moderation and humility. 2. Reflect before reacting. Another Stoic secret to control your emotions is to reflect before reacting. This means pausing and thinking before you say or do something, especially when you are angry, frustrated, or hurt by someone or something. Why is this important? Because most of the time, our emotions are triggered by our judgments and interpretations of the events, not by the events themselves. We often react impulsively, based on our assumptions, biases, and expectations, without considering the facts, the consequences, or the alternatives. By reflecting before reacting, you can avoid saying or doing something that you might regret later, and that might harm yourself or others. You can also gain a better understanding of the situation and of your own emotions by asking yourself some questions, such as, what is the reality of the situation? What are the facts and what are my opinions? What is the cause of my emotion? Is it something external or something internal? What is the purpose of my emotion? Is it helpful or harmful? What is the best way to respond to the situation? What are my options, and what are the pros and cons of each one? By reflecting before reacting, you can also practice the Stoic virtue of wisdom, which is the ability to use reason and logic to make good decisions. You can also practice the Stoic virtue of justice, which is the ability to treat others fairly and kindly, even when they wrong you. To reflect before reacting, you can use some techniques such as counting to 10, taking a deep breath, writing down your thoughts, or talking to someone you trust. You can also use some Stoic quotes or maxims, such as Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Seneca also reminded that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And Epictetus also quoted, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." 3. Practice dispassion. This is third Stoic secret to control your emotions. This means detaching yourself from your emotions and observing them objectively without being influenced or carried away by them. Why is this useful? Because emotions are not always reliable or rational. They can cloud our judgment, distort our perception, and interfere with our actions. They can also cause us pain, suffering, and unhappiness if we let them control us. By practicing dispassion, you can gain a clear and calm mind that can see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. You can also gain a sense of freedom and peace that comes from knowing that you are not your emotions and that you can choose how to respond to them. Dispassion does not mean that you should suppress or ignore your emotions or that you should become cold and indifferent. It means that you should acknowledge and accept your emotions, but not let them define or dominate you. It means that you should use your emotions as signals, not as masters. To practice dispassion, you can use some methods, such as meditation, mindfulness, journaling, or therapy. You can also use some Stoic exercises such as the dichotomy of control. This is the idea that there are things that are under your control and things that are not under your control. You should focus on the former and ignore or accept the latter. Second, the reserve clause. This is the idea that you should always add the phrase, "if nothing prevents me," or "fate permitting," to your plans and expectations, to remind yourself that things might not go as you wish, and to be prepared for any changes or surprises. Third, the self-examination. This is the idea that you should review your actions and thoughts at the end of each day and ask yourself what you did well, what you did wrong, and what you can improve. Some examples of practicing dispassion are when you feel happy or excited, instead of getting attached or complacent, you can observe and enjoy your emotion, but also remember that it is temporary and conditional, and that you should not depend on it for your happiness. You can also think of how you can use your positive emotion to motivate yourself or to help others. Second example is when you feel sad or depressed, instead of getting overwhelmed or hopeless, you can observe and accept your emotion, but also remember that it is natural and normal, and that you should not identify with it as your true self. You can also think of how you can use your negative emotion to learn something or to empathize with others. And third example is when you feel angry or resentful, instead of getting aggressive or vindictive, you can observe and understand your emotion, but also remember that it is harmful and irrational, and that you should not act on it impulsively. You can also think of how you can use your emotion to assert yourself or to forgive others. By practicing dispassion, you can become more aware, detached, and in control of your emotions, and you can use them as tools, not as tyrants. 4. Embrace voluntary discomfort. This means deliberately exposing yourself to some hardships or challenges that are not harmful or immoral, but that are outside your comfort zone. Why would you do this? Because by doing this, you can train yourself to be more adaptable, resilient, and confident. You can also reduce your fear, anxiety, and dependence on external things that might be taken away from you. You can also appreciate more the simple and essential things in life that you might take for granted. To embrace voluntary discomfort, you can try some activities such as fasting, cold showers, sleeping on the floor, wearing simple clothes, giving away some of your possessions, or doing something that scares you. You can also try some Stoic practices such as the premeditation of evils. This is the idea that you should anticipate and imagine the worst things that could happen to you and how you would cope with them, to prepare yourself mentally and emotionally for any adversity. Second practice, the self-denial. This is the idea that you should occasionally abstain or refrain from something that you enjoy or desire to test your willpower and to remind yourself that you don't need it to be happy. And third practice is the role reversal. This is the idea that you should sometimes act or think as if you were in someone else's position, especially someone who is less fortunate or more virtuous than you, to cultivate empathy and humility. Some examples of embracing voluntary discomfort are when you feel hungry or thirsty, instead of satisfying your appetite or thirst right away, you can delay or skip a meal or a drink and observe how your body and mind react. You can also think of how many people in the world are starving or thirsty and how lucky you are to have food and water. Second example is when you feel cold or hot, instead of adjusting the temperature or changing your clothes right away, you can endure the discomfort for a while and observe how your body and mind adapt. You can also think of how many people in the world are exposed to extreme weather conditions and how fortunate you are to have shelter and clothing. And third example is when you feel bored or restless, instead of distracting yourself with entertainment or stimulation right away, you can sit still and do nothing for a while and observe how your body and mind calm down. You can also think of how many people in the world are deprived of freedom or peace, and how privileged you are to have time and space. By embracing voluntary discomfort, you can become more comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you can discover new aspects and potentials of yourself. 5. Adopt the view from above. A fifth Stoic secret to control and master your emotions. This means zooming out and looking at your life and the world from a broader and higher perspective, such as from the sky, the stars, or the cosmos. Why is this beneficial? Because by doing this, you can gain a sense of awe and wonder that can inspire you and uplift you. You can also gain a sense of proportion and perspective that can calm you and humble you. You can also gain a sense of connection and belonging that can comfort you and support you. By adopting the view from above, you can also practice the Stoic concept of cosmopolitanism, which is the idea that you are a citizen of the world and that you have a duty and a bond with all living beings, regardless of their nationality, race, religion, or status. You can also practice the Stoic concept of providence, which is the idea that the universe is governed by a rational and benevolent force that guides everything towards a good and harmonious end. To adopt the view from above, you can use some tools such as maps, globes, telescopes, or satellites. You can also use some Stoic meditations, such as the cosmic scale. This is the idea that you should compare yourself and your problems with the vastness and complexity of the universe and realize how small and insignificant they are. Second meditation is the cosmic sympathy. This is the idea that you should see yourself and everything else as part of a whole and feel the interdependence and harmony that exists among all things. And third meditation is the cosmic gratitude. This is the idea that you should appreciate the beauty and order of the universe and thank the source of all things for giving you the opportunity to exist and participate in it. Some examples of adopting the view from above are when you feel proud or arrogant. Instead of inflating your ego or looking down on others, you can zoom out and see how tiny and trivial you are in the grand scheme of things. You can also think of how many people and factors have contributed to your success and how many challenges and uncertainties you still face. Second example is when you feel sad or lonely. Instead of isolating yourself or feeling sorry for yourself, you can zoom out and see how connected and supported you are by the web of life. You can also think of how many people and beings share your feelings and experiences and how many ways you can reach out and help them. And third example is when you feel happy or grateful. Instead of taking things for granted or being satisfied with yourself, you can zoom out and see how amazing and fortunate you are to be alive and aware in this wonderful universe. You can also think of how many things and beings have made your happiness possible and how many ways you can express and spread your gratitude. By adopting the view from above, you can become more mindful, humble, and compassionate, and you can experience the joy and wonder of being part of something bigger and greater than yourself. 6. See obstacles as opportunities. This means reframing the difficulties and challenges that you face in your life as chances to grow, learn, and improve yourself. Why is this helpful? Because by doing this, you can turn your problems into solutions, your weaknesses into strengths, and your failures into successes. You can also reduce your anger, frustration, and disappointment by seeing the positive aspects and the potential benefits of every situation. By seeing obstacles as opportunities, you can also practice the Stoic concept of amor fati, which is the idea that you should love your fate and embrace everything that happens to you as if you had chosen it yourself. You can also practice the Stoic concept of eudaimonia, which is the idea that you should live a life of excellence and fulfillment by acting according to your true nature and purpose. To see obstacles as opportunities, you can use some strategies, such as asking yourself how you can use the situation to your advantage, what you can learn from it, and how you can make it better. You can also use some Stoic examples, such as Marcus Aurelius, who wrote his famous Meditations, a collection of Stoic wisdom and guidance while facing a series of wars, plagues, and conspiracies as the Roman emperor. He used his obstacles as opportunities to practice his philosophy, to strengthen his character, and to serve his people. Seneca, who wrote many of his philosophical letters and essays while being exiled, imprisoned, and forced to commit suicide by the tyrannical Nero. He used his obstacles as opportunities to express his thoughts, to share his knowledge, and to inspire his readers. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became a cripple but still managed to become one of the most influential Stoic teachers and thinkers. He used his obstacles as opportunities to learn from his masters, to teach his students, and to demonstrate his principles. Some examples of seeing obstacles as opportunities are: when you face a difficult task or project, instead of avoiding or procrastinating, you can see it as an opportunity to challenge yourself, to develop your skills, and to achieve your goals. You can also think of how you can use your creativity, resourcefulness, and collaboration to overcome the difficulties and deliver the best results. Second example is, when you encounter a conflict or disagreement, instead of fighting or fleeing, you can see it as an opportunity to communicate, to understand, and to resolve. You can also think of how you can use your empathy, respect, and compromise to find a common ground and a win-win solution. And third example is, when you experience a change or a loss, instead of resisting or regretting, you can see it as an opportunity to adapt, to grow, and to move on. You can also think of how you can use your flexibility, optimism, and gratitude to embrace the new situation and to find new opportunities. By seeing obstacles as opportunities, you can become more proactive, positive, and productive, and you can make the most out of every situation and circumstance. 7. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? A seventh and final Stoic secret. This means putting your current situation and emotion into a larger and longer perspective and evaluating its significance and impact on your life. Why is this effective? Because by doing this, you can filter out the trivial and temporary things that bother you and focus on the important and lasting things that matter to you. You can also reduce your stress and anxiety by realizing that most of the things you worry about are either irrelevant or impermanent. By asking yourself, will this matter in 5 years? You can also practice the Stoic concept of memento mori, which is the idea that you should remember that you are mortal and that you have a limited time on this earth. You can also practice the Stoic concept of oikeiosis, which is the idea that you should expand your circle of concern and care from yourself to your family, to your friends, to your community, to humanity, to nature, and to the universe. To ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? You can use some tips, such as writing down your thoughts and feelings and reviewing them after some time to see how they have changed or faded. You can also use some Stoic reminders, such as Marcus Aurelius reminds that you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Seneca also said, Life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. Epictetus quoted, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Some examples of asking yourself, will this matter in 5 years, are: when you feel embarrassed or ashamed, instead of dwelling on your mistake or flaw, you can ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years, or will I laugh about it later? How can I use this experience to improve myself or to help others? Second example is, when you feel jealous or envious, instead of comparing yourself to others or coveting what they have, you can ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years, or will I be happy with what I have? How can I use this feeling to motivate myself or to appreciate others? And third examples is, when you feel satisfied or proud, instead of resting on your laurels or boasting about your achievements, you can ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years, or will I have new challenges and goals? How can I use this success to inspire myself or to contribute to others? By asking yourself, will this matter in 5 years, you can become more mindful, realistic, and meaningful, and you can live a life that is aligned with your values and purpose. You have just learned 7 Stoic secrets that help you to control your emotions. These secrets are based on the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, which teaches us how to live a good life by practicing virtue, reason, and self-control. By applying these secrets in your daily life, you can practice negative visualization to appreciate what you have and prepare for what you might lose. Reflect before reacting to avoid impulsive and irrational actions and words. Practice dispassion to detach yourself from your emotions and observe them objectively. Embrace voluntary discomfort to train yourself to be more adaptable, resilient, and confident. Adopt the view from above to gain a sense of we, proportion, and connection. See obstacles as opportunities to turn your problems into solutions, your weaknesses into strengths, and your failures into successes. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? To filter out the trivial and temporary things and focus on the important and lasting things. By following these Stoic secrets, you can become more calm, balanced, and happy, and you can live a life that is aligned with your values and purpose. I hope you enjoyed this video on Stoic secrets. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to comment below. What is your favorite Stoic principle or practice, and how do you apply it in your life? Thank you for watching, and remember, the good life is a Stoic life.